All right, hello once again. This is Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College, and as part of the Rankin Technical College AWD, or Application and Website Development program, and in particular the AWD 1111.NET Framework with Web Databases class, I have been creating a series of video presentations to hopefully be used in the fall 2019 semester in conjunction with the textbook for the class, which, as you can see on your screen, is Pro ASP.NET MVC 5 and a press text by Adam Freeman. We are making our way through Chapter 12, and we are up to saving images to the database. So as the author says here on the bottom of the page, I need to enhance the post version of the edit method in the admin controller to take the image data that has been uploaded and save it to the database. So the changes are shown on the page. And I think rather than copying all of it, because not that there's a lot, but there's just that there and this down here, I think hopefully I'm smart enough, that's taking a lot for granted, that I can go into my admin controller and just put in the stuff I need. So we are in our web UI. Let's close that. Let's close that. Open up our controllers, our admin controller. We need a using system.web in here. As always, it'll appear probably gray right now because we're not technically using it. All right, and after we do our authorize and our edit, etc., and it looks like we're going to be making major changes right here. So what I'm going to do is I am going to grab all of that, highlight that. All right. Go back to the textbook, grab all of it that's in here, copy, and paste it in. Hopefully there are no mistakes. I see no red, which is always a good sign. And the author says in here, move this over a tad so we can see as much as possible. I'll move this over, way over, and I'm going to move this way over. All right, so we can see just about everything. We have added a new parameter to the edit method, which the MVC framework will use to pass the uploaded file data to the action method. All right. We check to see if the parameter is null. If it is not null, we copy the data and the MIME type from the parameters to the product object so that it will be saved into the database. We must also update the EF, our Entity Framework Product Repository class, all right, to ensure that the values assigned to the image data and image type properties are stored into the database. So we have to go, let's just, because we haven't in a while, let's do a file save all. All right, I'm going to close this under content, not under content, I'm sorry, under infrastructure. That is wrong also. We want to open up our domain, and in here we want to go into concrete, EF product repository.cs. All right, and under this else statement that we have here, we want to add 2 lines. Let's just put a comment in here. Handle product images. The author doesn't have that, but I'm putting it in. DB entry dot image data. Notice that's good that it's being, you can see that both fields are being displayed in there, so it is recognizing them. All right, so we have now put that in. Again, let's do a file save all. All right. In an earlier listing, the author says here, I'm on the bottom of page 321. We just added these 2 lines, and I put a comment in. But the author says here, in listing 1211, we added an image element whose content was obtained through a getImage action method on the product controller. We're going to implement this action method so that we can display images contained in the database. So we want to go into our product controllers file, and we want to put this in down at the bottom of our product controller. Again, I'm not going to go and grab all of that code. It seems senseless to me to do that. So our product controller .cs file, and we are adding that down towards the bottom there. This method, as mentioned on the bottom of page 322, this method tries to find a product that matches the ID specified by the parameter. The file content result class is used as the result from an action method when we want to return a file to the client browser. Instances are created using the file method of the base controller class. All right, the author says, I discussed the different types of results you can return back in Chapter 17. So again, we will have more of this in more depth and breadth of coverage in Chapter 17. All right, retrieving images, I'm not going to do that unit test, and that takes up all of page 323 and most of page 324, it appears. All right, the author does say on the bottom, when dealing with a valid product ID, I check that the file result from the action method and the content type matches the type of data. That makes sense. All right, so ideally, here's where the rubber meets the road, as they say. The administrator can now upload images for products. You can try this yourself by starting the application, going over to the admin index URL, and editing one of the products. Figure 12.4 on page 325 shows an example. Now, there's very little left in the chapter. All right? And I'm only at 7 minutes. So the issue is, just so you know, is we have a class. I'm in a classroom right now making this tape, and there is a class coming in here in a few minutes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause what I'm working on, just pause. I'm going to go over into the other room, my offices, and I'm going to continue from in there. So this will take me 5 minutes or so. All right, now I'm back again. Took a little more than 5 minutes. But what we want now for the image is we want to be able to choose our image, have it be put in there, and then eventually have it display like this. Now, what's interesting looking at this says all that remains to display the images in the product catalog. Edit the views shared product summary to reflect the changes shown. Okay, great. And I'm in here, there's my views. Close. There's my shared. Here's my product summary. That's all fine. All right. So we're supposed to edit this, and we're supposed to add the bolded content that's shown on page 326. I'm going to do that right now. We want this right after the div class equal well. So we want to put it right up here. All right, we've got this if statement that you can see right here. And there it goes. All right, so it says here if the image data is not null, in other words, if we have an image, all right, and this is just going to help place it. So they mention with all these changes in place, the customer will see images displayed as part of the product description class when they browse the catalog. All right, and that's okay. So let's browse the catalog and see if we get that image. I'm going to guess that we won't, and I will explain to you why I believe we won't in just a minute. All right, and to be honest with you, I hope I'm wrong. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to go into the index under my cart, and I'm going to view it in the browser. Now they do show, I'm going to go over to chess, and there's the thinking cap, and I don't see a picture. They do show one in the book. Now, normally when you come in here to do this, normally you would come in here and in your content here, we would add yet another folder, and that folder would be called images. And we'd put all of our images in there. The reason that I'm bringing this up to you is, to my knowledge, we're not grabbing these images from any place. All right? And the author does not show that, does not really even discuss that right now. So far, it has not been discussed. So I am going to look at it, all right, and see if I can figure out. What I did was I went out and tried to find the source code from the book. So I went out there, and here, there it is. There's all the source code. And I looked in Chapter 12, where we are right now, and tried to find in here some kind of folder, like under content, that would have the images. But it's not shown in there. So the other thing I didn't do yet, I'll do it right now, is go back to the last chapter of the book. Chapter 27. Now this is web services, which is fine. Web services, packages, man, maybe I don't want that. Well, let's see what's in packages here. I don't want that, I don't think. But let's come back to, see, that's the problem. These are all, this is the last thing that I know of that's in here. So there's sports score. And I'm going to quickly check all these. You know, there's no way it shouldn't be in the domain. That makes no sense. But for completeness, I'm checking everything. All right, so it's not in there. I would think, well, it shouldn't be in unit tests either. That doesn't even make any sense. So I'm not even going to check unit tests. Shouldn't be in packages. So where it should be is in the UI. And again, I would think it would be in content. But there's nothing in there but CSS files. All right, so I'm just going to check if app start makes absolutely no sense. Controllers makes absolutely no sense. HTML helpers makes no sense. Infrastructure makes no sense. Models doesn't make any sense. Properties doesn't make any sense. Scripts doesn't make any sense. Views doesn't make any sense. Fonts doesn't make any sense. So I'm not sure. So what I was going to do, and I didn't have time to do this yet, but this is the book. And I was going to literally go into my address bar here and type in, where are the images for the textbook all right, cover image, etc. I don't see anything in here for images. All right, so we're going to have to find those or create them ourselves. But that is it for the chapter. Let's do one last thing and then we will put this to bed. We're at 16 minutes, so we got just literally about a minute. But let's run this. In fact, we still have the run up. I believe we do. All right. And let's go over here to, okay, edit. I don't know if we're probably not logged in. So let's go here to admin. Index. All right, well, I guess we were in, but it was the thinking cap. There we go. Image, choose file. And I don't know where we get that from. All right, so I'm going to just try something real quick. Let's go to Google Images and let's put in here plain baseball cap. All right, I'm looking for a picture that looks similar to the one that they have. Of course, it's turned the other way. There we go. I'm going to grab that one and I'm going to do a save image as, and I'm just going to save it to my desktop. And we're going to call this thinkingcap.jpg. All right, let me go back to the desktop. And granted, I realize this is stuff kind of over and above. Okay, so this here says, I'm looking for the size, 258 by 195. That actually doesn't look like a bad size. So I'm going to come back to here, and here, and here. All right, choose file. I'm going to go to my, I don't want to do it like that. I want to try to be consistent here. So I'm going to go to my images, and I'm going to say add, new item. No, I don't want to add a new item. I want to add an existing item. Images, add. Existing item. I want to go back to the desktop here. I want to find that thinking cap. There it is. And it's now been added. Okay, good. All right. So, one more time from here, choose file. I want to go in here. Desktop. I want to grab it from the project. Sports store. UI. Content. Images. There's our image. All right. Now I'm going to tell it to save, which might be a bad thing because it might be saving. Oh, well, let's see if it did save it. So let's look at thinking cap. It's not there. Oh, there it is. Hot dog. It is there. Well, what do you know? And if you notice, when we did that, we edited. It didn't save it as it was before when we were editing things. It did not save it as a new file. So there's our hat. Pretty cool. Looks similar to what you see on 325. All right. Now what I'm going to do, and again, is this a wise move or not? But I'm going to go in, and we have here we've saved. So let's cancel kayak, etc. I'm going to try to find images for these. All right, and put those in as well. Okay, I'm going to do that before I go into the next chapter, because this chapter we're done with. It says, in this and previous chapters, I have demonstrated how the ASP.NET MVC framework, ASP.NET MVC framework can be used to create a realistic e-commerce application. This extended example introduced many of the framework's key features, controllers, action methods, etc. We've also seen some of the key technologies related to MVC and how they can be used, including Entity Framework, Ninject, Mock, and the Visual Studio support for unit testing. The result is an application with a clean, component-oriented architecture. Well, mine didn't totally work, but it works mostly. But again, what I'm going to do is to go back right now and try to find pictures for all these. And after I do, I'm going to go into Chapter 13, which is on deployment. See you soon.